1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dawes.
Hey, hey.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
There's a famous song that says, "What the world needs now is love, sweet love." If you've ever seen the movie My Best Friend's Wedding, it's in that movie. What I feel like the world needs more of, or at least the Jaguars world, is laughter, sweet laughter. And so we're going to put together our versions of Liam Coen's
I'm glad you
Duval.
like this idea.
Duval. There it is.
Thank you, RJ. Yeah, I would.
has some personal business to attend to. She'll join us a little bit later in the show. Let's start, Mia, with the news that the Jaguars, specifically Liam Coen on the offensive side of the ball, has his first offensive coordinator interview. That is with Nate Shieldhouse. There we go.
Shieldhouse. Read it as
I literally wrote it
Shieldhouse.
down, Shieldhouse, and then I tried to reread it because earlier in my head it was Shield Chase, and so that's going to stick in my head. Shieldhouse. And I think that's a really interesting one because he's obviously also from the Sean McVay line, which Sean McVay's tree has, even though he's a pretty young guy, he certainly has fanned out a lot of people into this NFL world. And Nate Shieldhouse is a guy that also has some connections to the Coen family because he did play quarterback at Illinois. And so
You're forgetting one important tentacle of his resume.
the fact that he also interviewed with the Bucks.
No,
That's not really his
that
resume.
is definitely a tentacle worth
Yeah.
addressing. But the fact that his career as a coach actually began at Iowa State under Matt Campbell when none other than Mia O'Brien was covering the Cyclones. And
Somehow I missed that.
Nate Shieldhouse at that point was just, hey, he was a fun quarterback at the University of Illinois. He wants to get into coaching. Let's see what Matt Campbell can do. Lauren, I think that the connection that we are going to make in this opening segment and throughout the duration of this program, as well as in the days and weeks ahead, what we saw from Liam Coen when he built the offensive staff in Tampa, the positions that he was allowed to hire because Dave Canales had brought coaches with him to Carolina, and Todd Bowles said, Liam, I trust you. It's on you. Hire these staffers, which I think is a good sample size, or at the very least a good starting point to give us an indication that, hey, he's hit on guys before. We believe he can hit on them on an entire staff.
The Bucks allowed Dave Canales to take some of the Bucks staff with him to Carolina.
Correct.
I just wanted to emphasize that point. The Bucks will not be allowing Liam Coen to take much of his staff from Tampa to Jacksonville.
However, if he's to offer some of those individuals that he brought to Tampa and wants to bring to Jacksonville higher ranking positions, one, Jason Licht will have no say on that. He will legally be required to let that individual interview with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that'll be an interesting side story that we'll be watching throughout the course of the week.
And whether or not Liam really wants to do that to his former employer when everything else has already gone down.
Correct. And I think he will. Nate Shieldhouse, interesting one because, again, the ties to Iowa State, the idea of he was the latest and greatest college coach that Sean McVay went out of his way to hire and bring to the Los Angeles Rams. That's what I think is most interesting is, look, Sean McVay doesn't just pull anybody. There's hundreds of thousands of coaches in the college ranks that never get that call from Sean McVay. When you look at his resume, sure, everybody knows somebody, and there's always
Of course.
a mutual friend of someone. But Nate Shieldhouse's background as the quarterback at Illinois, working on their staff for 3 years. I'm trying to remember who even was the coach from 2015 to 2017. I think it would have been Lovey. No, Lovey wasn't there yet. It wasn't Burt. Either way, point being, he was there from 2015 to 2017 after his playing career had ended. Then he goes to Iowa State there from 18 to 23 before last year being plucked away. And
They had an interim in 2015, and then it was Levy in 2016 and 2017.
yes, okay. So see, I'm not losing my marbles. Good to know. Point being, not just anyone gets plucked by Sean McVay himself from the college ranks. Additionally, I will parallel that to Liam Coen plucking Brian McClendon from the SEC last year. Not any NFL coaching history for the former Georgia and South Carolina wide receiver coach, so to speak. He goes out, he plucks him, he brings him to Tampa, and obviously, yes, Mike Evans is a future Hall of Famer, Chris Godwin is a Pro Bowler, but the development of Jalen McMillan, you could certainly attribute to him. It's something that you also are seeing with the names that the Jaguars have already interviewed for their vacant defensive coordinator position. Almost all of those guys, including Patrick Graham, for what it's worth, who so many of you believe is the front runner, have college experience. And what's so interesting to me is I actually had a league source say to me about 2 months ago when many of us had a feeling that things were going south with the Doug Peterson, Trent Baalke administration, and said to me, they need to go to college and figure out what's next, both on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. And that is what the Jaguars need to lean into. Now, they are hiring a coach who was already in the National Football League. They're not going out and hiring a college head coach. They are interviewing folks who are already in the NFL, but are more recent newcomers to the National Football League ranks after extensive time in the college game, which ultimately go through the history books. 9 times out of 10, what's happening in college eventually makes its way to the National Football League in some capacity.
You know who I want to be the wide receivers coach, and this is not a anti-Chad Hall comment.
I know who you're going to say, and I am actually, Lauren.
You have no idea who I'm going to say.
Yeah,
do
I
you?
do. You're going to say Cortez Hankin of LSU. Yes, I'm not dumb. Come on now. You act like I haven't been workshopping the staff for months now. No, actually, I'm planning on Duval Rundown tomorrow, making the argument for Cortez.
So for people who don't know, he's the LSU wide receivers coach, and the fact that I guess you could put the dots together because I love Brian Thomas Jr. so much, but also Malik Neighbors and the trajectory of a lot of the LSU wide receivers. Cortez Hankton was also a Jaguar for 4 years, once upon a time. So I feel like he needs to come home. And like I said, nothing against Chad Hall. I think he did well as the receivers coach for Jacksonville. But Cortez Hankton is a guy that has experience with BTJ already and knows what elite talent looks like. And so I think he could help in also the draft process, because that is one thing that college coaches have, and that is the identifying talent at a very young age and how that's going to obviously help their collegiate football team. But that talent identification translates huge to the NFL. How is a guy going to go from college to the NFL?
Yes. And so let's go through the defense coordinators who have been requested for a first-round interview with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, it is of note, as long as you comply with the Rooney Rule and you interview at least, I believe it's just one, it is 2 for coordinators, 2 minority candidates. You don't have to go through the virtual interviews and the in-person interviews. Once you complete that opening round of interviews, if you feel comfortable, like, you could go ahead and hire whoever. You don't have to bring them into the building. And that's where I think the Senior Bowl, which we're going to check in live at the Senior Bowl with JP Acosta coming up at 12:20, I think that's where the Senior Bowl is such an interesting factor in the development of Liam Cohen's first staff, because so many of these coaches are boots on the ground in Mobile, Alabama, 6 hours to our west right now, Lauren. And you can do a one-stop shop interview with many of them in Mobile, Alabama hotel rooms. And so that's where I think it's going to be interesting to see the timeline for this staff. My expectation is that the goal is that by this time next week, both coordinators have been hired. Hopefully, from what I've been told, I think they're hoping to have both coordinators by Monday, quite frankly, but that they also will have that framework of a staff by late next week, which I think would be massive. And ultimately, when you hire some of these coordinators, there are certain assistant coaches who will travel with those coordinators and follow them wherever they go. So you'll have an idea of, hey, if we're going with Patrick Graham, he brings the same defensive line coach everywhere he goes, and so that guy's probably coming to hang out too. So the 4 names that we know, and we'll add a 5th one in there too, thanks to our friend of the program, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN.
Which I found interesting that Jeremy Fowler's report has not made its way to the coordinator tracker on the Jaguars website.
Well, the coordinator tracker is just when the interview has been completed, to be clear. So Jeremy Fowler reports that Panthers pass game coordinator on the defensive side of the ball, Jonathan Cooley, has been requested by the Jaguars for an interview for their defense coordinator role. Longtime is Jero Avero, Brandon Staley, Vic Fangio disciple. So I'll be curious to see if that interview does take place today or at all, because technically it has to, because he's a pass game coordinator. This is the defense coordinator role. unless Cooley says no thank you himself, the expectation is that interview would take place at some point. We do know 4 that have occurred. So,
and by the way, you obviously expect familiarity between Liam Coen and Jonathan Cooley because of the Rams connection.
Yes, there's also a Rams tie in there, correct, exactly, with Avero and with Brandon Staley. So the 4 that we know have already been completed. Patrick Graham, most recently the Las Vegas Raiders defensive coordinator. Durante Jones, most recently, currently the Minnesota Vikings defensive pass game coordinator and DB's coach. Then you have
Aubrey Pleasant,
who's the Los Angeles Rams defensive pass game coordinator and assistant head coach, previously the DB's coach with the Detroit Lions. And finally, Anthony Campanelli, the Green Bay Packers linebackers coach and run game coordinator. Like I mentioned, all 4 of those individuals, yes, are in the National Football League right now, but there's some sort of college tie there. Additionally, all 5 of those individuals, or rather, let's look at all 5 together. 3 of the 5 have Brian Flores ties, and the other 2 have Los Angeles Rams ties. So if you're looking for a connection of where Liam Coen has said, I would like my first defense coordinator to do blank, it sure as heck sounds like I want them running that attack style, Brian Flores, multiple disguises, both at the line of scrimmage and post-snap, that type of attack style defense, or whatever's up and coming in the McVay hopper.
I think the preference for me, I think a lot of people, is Patrick Graham because he's been a defensive coordinator before. You already have a first-time head coach. I don't know that you want then a first-time offensive coordinator and a first-time defensive coordinator all learning at the same time. I think you'd rather have someone with some experience in that role before. But Liam Coen certainly is a guy that has a ton of connections in the NFL and in college football, like we talked about. And so he's going to pick who he thinks is best. He's not worried about whether or not that person has had prior experience. He just is looking forward to who's going to be able to really let me focus on the offense, because he's not a defensive-minded coach. And yes, we've seen Doug Peterson, who originally turned the reins fully over to Mike Caldwell. Then he felt like he had to get more involved. So that may also happen with Liam Coen. But Liam will be calling the offensive plays. So my guess is he will be heavily involved in the offense.
So let me ask you this, because I've heard this from so many people, and you all saw it on full display on Monday afternoon. Liam Coen has the juice. That is what Shad Khan wanted, someone with the juice, someone who is upbeat, young, engaging, ready to run through a wall. My question is, and I know Hayes Carlyon made the point on Duval Rundown, and I believe he did on the Frangie show yesterday as well. If you go out and you get Patrick Graham, that's not to say Patrick Graham doesn't have the juice, but the idea is, well, Sean McVay became a head coach at 31 years old, and he had Wade Phillips, a veteran defense coordinator, a former NFL head coach. He had the old head in the room as the DC so that he could run the defense while Sean McVay was focused on the offense and the overall operation. And it's a great point. But who's Wade Phillips? Who is Wade Phillips out there? Because Patrick Graham, I wouldn't say is Wade Phillips. Your Wade Phillips candidates are Wink Martindale, Ron Rivera. Like, you're going to be like essentially compromising the idea of, I want a staff that has the juice, because Heath Farwell's got the juice too.
Yeah, the Ron Rivera one's tricky because he's been a head coach, and somewhat at times, I should say, successful head coach in the NFL. And so when you're a first-time head coach, does that appeal to you to have someone who's already been a head coach that you can lean on? Or are you going to feel like that person is judging you because you're not doing the things the way that they did them, and so then you feel like more scrutinized? And I don't know.
But also, they're not trying to take your job because they're already, like, Wade Phillips was not trying to take Sean McVay's job.
No.
So,
but is Ron Rivera hoping one day to get another head coaching position?
I would
right?
hope not. He's like 63 years old, isn't he?
Hey, Pete Carroll has a head coaching job.
That's true. So,
like I said, I want it to be someone who has the experience, who can lead that group. And from all reports, Ryan Nielsen, according to us, seemed like he was going to be the perfect guy. Once you got inside the team meeting rooms, the defensive meeting rooms, it seems like he didn't jive with the players like we would have expected him to.
So, 2 things. One, the Jaguars under Mike Caldwell did have Bob Sutton on staff. So it was an assistant who was that quote-unquote old head to help a first-time defense coordinator. I can tell you this, with the Las Vegas Raiders, with a full-time head coach in Antonio Pierce this past season and Patrick Graham as the DC, do you know who was the senior defensive assistant on that staff?
I don't, but the Jags have had Money Kiffin in the past, so it's
Marvin Lewis, if that name rings a bell.
Yeah.
So put that one out
Bengals head
there.
coach.
Another name I would introduce into the conversation, if let's say Anthony Campanelli, the Packers linebackers coach, is to perhaps be the name. Another name that maybe you want to consider, Don Brown, who not only was Liam Cohen's boss at Brown, but was Anthony Campanelli's boss at Michigan in 2020. And so perhaps you bring Don over and you make him the old head in the room. So there's a couple different names that even if they're not the DC, they would be someone with defense coordinator, head coach experience. And of course, there's also the Chip Kelly variable that so many have introduced online. I don't have any intel on Chip Kelly, his interest in Jacksonville per se, because I would tell you from my vantage point, Chip Kelly wants to call plays. He certainly wants back into the National Football League.
Right.
So if he didn't have any opportunities to call plays, would you say, I'm going to go to Jacksonville and be the OC, even though I'm not calling plays, but maybe it's a bigger payday than returning to Ohio State, although they are the defending national champions. Many of the same pieces are still in play.
I don't get the sense that Chip Kelly is coming here, but certainly we'll see as the days progress as far as how Liam Coen decides to put this staff together. All right, when we return, we will go live to Mobile. The draft starts in Mobile, if you ask those working this Senior Bowl in 2025. We'll check in with JP Acosta from SB Nation. On the other side, you are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
1010XL's Dan Hicken dominated Folio Weekly's Best of 2024. Best TV sports anchor, Dan Hicken. Best radio sports anchor, Dan Hicken. Best radio sports show starring Dan Hicken. 1010XL, the home of Dan Hicken.
AA Automotive helps keep your vehicle in dependable and safe condition. Call Sam, Harry, or Joe, and they'll check your brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and motor, so your ride runs smooth on the road. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street.
Mia here for MyBookie. Our listeners have been killing it, and we're now set for the final stretch of the road to New Orleans. MyBookie is the one book that has your back. No fluff, no second guessing, just straight up action. Does your other sports book pay out when you push on a bet? MyBookie pays you back. And if you're new to the game and not sure where to start, we have you covered too. Step 1, use our promo code 1010XL. That'll double your bankroll with a 50% deposit bonus straight from the jump. Here's a pro tip to get you rolling. The big game prop bets are going to be plentiful. Take a hard look at player props and those wacky big game props you select each year from MyBookie. Stack that with MyBookie's risk-free Thursdays. Why wait? That's right there, a new risk-free odds boost each and every Thursday. To find the bet, click the Bet Boost tab and scroll down. If it hits, you win. If it doesn't, MyBookie refunds your money. Sign up now and get your 50% bonus with MyBookie, the best sign-up bonus for Florida bettors. The road to New Orleans is here for the big game. Bet anything, anytime, and from anywhere with MyBookie. And don't forget that promo code 1010XL.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? You have questions? Call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700. Office is Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
It's Helmets and Heels, Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Hi, it's Ben, second generation from Beards Diamonds. Guys, if you're popping a question soon, looking for an anniversary gift, before you buy anywhere, shop Beards. From a half carat to 10 carats, Beards will beat any competitor's price.
In the St. John's Town Center or at beardsdiamonds.com. It's New Year's resolution time, like fixing that leaky faucet, unclogging that drain, or getting your AC ready for the summer. Start the year off right with Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning. Call us today at 904-862-6769, because when you're stuck, call the Duck.
Get more Gators on the Gator Bites podcast presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists with new episodes every Friday. Subscribe and listen by searching for 1010XL's Gator Bites podcast wherever you find podcasts and at 1010XL.com.
Basketball season is back as Division I college basketball takes center stage with the UNF Ospreys. Osprey basketball returns home to UNF Arena this Wednesday, January 29th, against the Hatters from Stetson. North Florida is back home on Wednesday, January 29th against Stetson, tip-off at 7. Visit UNFospreys.com/buy tickets now to secure your seats. UNFospreys.com/buy tickets now. Swoop, 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 swoop.
Storms are part of every season. Make sure you're protected. Call American Electrical to make sure you have the best in surge protection. Don't lose your home electronics to a lightning strike. Call 737-7770 for American Electrical.
If you're tired of weekend projects turning into weekend disasters, you're not alone. Building a fence isn't as easy as it looks. And let's face it, your neighbor still hasn't fixed his lopsided masterpiece. But Superior Fence and Rail makes it easy. Highly trained professionals, top quality materials, and a fence you'll love for years to come. Skip the stress and call the pros today.
When you're on the fence, about the fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Living on Amelia Island, having fun in Fernandina Beach? No matter what brings you to the fun, cozy town, make sure you check out the tap room at Mocama Beer Company. With a full flight of craft creations, from the Cosmico IPA to the Motor, the perfect Pilsners and lagers, matching memories and some Mocama magic is what it's all about. Mocama Beer Company in Fernandina Beach, near the big water where the sun is born. And look for more Mocama craft at your local Total Wine or ABC Liquors.
Attention golfers, Hidden Hills Golf Club is an attractive destination for golfers all over the Southeast. You too will enjoy our classic Arnold Palmer design that will test your game and keep you coming back. Book a tee time at hiddenhillsgc.com. Pick it here with my concierge doctor, Richard Townsend. Doc T, how does a concierge direct primary care operate?
We are a membership-based primary care made directly between a patient and physician. We'll have a limited amount of patients that allows us to give unlimited access and personal service to you. This individualized approach has been shown to lower hospitalizations as well as maintain healthier lives. We also give 24/7 access via phone to me outside of our scheduled office hours.
To learn more, go to mypvconcierge.com. Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mia here. Since 1982, Closets by Design has specialized in creating dream spaces for every budget. My designer, Frances, made the process so easy. She came to my house and designed a walk-in closet that's not only beautiful, but incredibly functional for me and Beau Valentine. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation at 800-293-3744 or visit closetsbydesign.com and take advantage of their 40% off New Year savings this month only, including 18-month special financing. Closets by Design.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Nobody better to take us live to Mobile in the Reese's Senior Bowl than SB Nation's JP Acosta. Yes, he covers all things NFL for SB Nation, but a lifelong Jaguars fan. The pride of FAU, making his maiden voyage on helmets and heels. JP, welcome to the program, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. I know you were hopped on with the boys at CLNS Media up in New England yesterday, but let's bring it a little bit closer to home, JP. Let's look at some of the names that are standing out through a day and a half of practices at the Reese's Senior Bowl that maybe have a tie or perhaps a connection to Jaguar fans and their NFL draft wish list. Big picture yesterday. I've heard now from Daniel Jeremiah. I listened to Move the Six this morning. I know the crew, our friend Trevor Sikkema, Connor Rogers, PFF Stock Exchange, they gave their risers. You wrote 27 of your observations yesterday, but give me this, JP. Who were your 3 to 4 biggest winners on day one of practices at the Senior Bowl on Tuesday?
So overall, I think on day one of the Senior Bowl, it was dominated by the offensive and defensive line. It's a reflection of how good this class is. So if I had to pick 3 or 4 guys that really stood out, the first one is Mike Green from Marshall. He's incredibly fast and quick off the ball, uses a variety of moves to complement his speed. But where he really won was in the weigh-ins. He weighed in at 251 pounds, which is way up from where he used to be at Marshall. So he's shown that he has the ability to hold up in the run game, which I think is huge for him coming from Marshall, being a bit more of an undersized edge defender. The second guy that I think really stood out to me was Darius Alexander from Toledo. He's Another one of those undersized, three-technique defensive tackles that are going to win with speed and burst, and he was dominating in the run and passing game. And he also showed that he can win from multiple alignments. He was lined up on the outside going against tackles and winning in different alignments. From the American team, I actually think Tennessee defensive tackle Omar Norman-Lott had a really great day. He got injured a little late in the practice, but his speed and his burst off the ball was a problem in team drills. There were fumbles on the quarterback center exchange because of how quick he was off the ball. So I think he's another guy that on like day 2 who can be a pocket penetrating 3 technique that's going to really make some waves. And then the last guy that I think really stood out was North Carolina State's Anthony Belton. He's a big dude, 6'6", 345, but he moves so much lighter than that. And I don't think he lost a rep on day 1 in pass pro or in the run game. So he's really stood out and made himself a lot of money this week.
JP, has anyone checked on the Stafford that was bowled over by Kentucky defensive tackle Deion Walker?
I hope so. I really do. He ended up being on the wrong side of 6'7", 340, and I kind of feel bad for him because now everybody's going to ask him what it felt like to get bowled over by a titan of a man. But he's doing fine. He's going to be back out here.
I'm so glad. Obviously, you said that he is strong as hell, which you could definitely see that in that video. I wanted to ask about 2 guys, Miami tight end Elijah Arroyo and then Florida linebacker Shamar James. How have they looked?
So Elijah Arroyo's actually been one of the better pass catchers overall here in Mobile. He's shown a lot of ability to create separation using head fakes, shoulder fakes, and getting sort of stepping out into the spotlight after being sort of an afterthought in Miami behind Xavier Restrepo and then Cam Ward being Cam Ward. Having this week in Mobile has really helped him solidify himself as one of the better tight end prospects in this class because of his receiving ability. And then Shamar James, I actually think he's been pretty fun as a pass defender. He's super fast, super explosive. I think he's got a little bit of issues defending in the run game, but he's been really competitive in the running back linebacker one-on-ones and is not an easy guy to throw against. So he's definitely played himself into, I'd say, maybe early day 3 territory for a team that needs some more help from their linebacker spot in terms of pass coverage.
You can find him on X at Acosta32_JP, one of the writers at SB Nation, boots on the ground at the Reese's Senior Bowl in Mobile. JP, now that we've rattled off a couple of names, I want to throw one more at you because like I led off the top with, you cover the National Football League nationally, but you are a Jaguars fan. You do know what interests the Jaguars potentially could have in the NFL draft. And that is where I introduce this year's lovable D2 FCS offensive lineman. Of course, he's from North Dakota State. Let our audience know more about Gray Zabel, who so many people believe was the star along the offensive line, if not overall, on day 1. And apparently he had a pretty solid practice this morning that you were at too.
Yeah, Gray Zabel has been incredible through the first 2 days of practice. He just lost his first rep today, which shows you how well he's done early. Played tackle at North Dakota State, but I think he's going to slide inside the guard, play tackle, or play center. He actually practiced at all 3 spots along the offensive line this week, so that's really impressive. Shows off some of his versatility. But the thing that stands out to me is the movement skills and the grip strength. He has such a strong core and upper body that he's not getting bowled over by these Division I Power 4 pass rushers that you see a lot of times with smaller school players when they come up, especially offensive linemen. They tend to get weight roomed by the bigger, stronger, more explosive defensive linemen. But he's acquitted himself really well. He's been a factor in the run game, and they've actually gotten him out on some screens to show off some of his movement skills. I think he's made himself a lot of money this week.
Which brings me to this, JP. I think that, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I think that with the Jaguars now led by Liam Coen, general manager to be determined, but not led by Trent Baalke and the notorious thresholds of arm length and certain weights, et cetera, I think, and also the Jim Harbaugh factor. We won't talk about that, though. I think that there is a notion that the Jaguars will be eyeing Mason Graham, the defensive lineman out of Michigan, potentially Will Johnson, the corner out of Michigan, T-Mac, Tet McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona. My question for you is this. We do know the offensive line is going to be a focal point, if only here on Sports Talk Radio, but certainly from Liam Coen's comments on Monday, it's going to be a focal point of his this offseason. And so when we hear about Gray Zabel, when you mentioned Anthony Belton, where do you think the sweet spot will be for a team like the Jaguars that has pieces along the offensive line, but they know, especially on the interior, they have to get stronger, tougher, faster in 2025?
I think the sweet spot you're looking for guys like Zabel and Belton are going to be definitely on day 2 in that round 2, round 3 range. I think with Jacksonville's second pick in the draft, I think that's the area where you can address the offensive line. You can go get a guy that you think has the movement skills to work in this Liam Coen offense, something that I was really impressed by with Liam Coen in Tampa was his adaptability. And something that really worked when the offense in Tampa started really clicking was getting them on power and counter and using pullers and getting athletic linemen out on the move. So if he wants to emulate that in Jacksonville, you got to get linemen who can move, who can get around to be pullers. So definitely look for guys with movement skills, like the 3-cone, the agility testing, see what their footwork is like, because I definitely think if someone impresses them, I would not be surprised if they go for a lineman on day 2 just to shore up an offensive line unit that I think lacked some physicality last year. I think it's safe to say that they lacked a little bit of an edge last year up front, and I think that's going to be addressed heavily in this Liam Coen era for the Jaguars because you need to be a little more physical going forward.
Well, we know Ezra Cleveland can certainly move. Now, whether he has the aggression, that's certainly something that Liam will have to find out. JP Acosta with us from SB Nation live from the Senior Bowl. JP, I want to ask on a serious note about Jack Beck, the TCU wide receiver whose brother was killed in the New Orleans tragedy earlier this month. And I loved that the Senior Bowl all have the helmet sticker with number 7 to pay tribute to Tiger Beck. How is Jack doing with everything?
It's such an impressive feather in his cap that he's even here, let alone playing really well. I think he's shown himself to be a good slot receiver at the next level potentially, but just his leadership and his voice during practice has been really impressive. I've been impressed with his ability to just, not to say move on, because I don't think you can ever really move on from that, but being able to come out here and still play his best and still continue after something like that has been really impressive. And I know that NFL scouts and NFL GMs are looking at this and being like, yeah, this is the guy that we want on our team.
JP, we could talk to you all day. I'm only going to pepper you with a couple more, I promise. For the Jaguars, again, we're going to liken the two things together. You tell me first, DB, tight end, which do you think is more of a priority, finding that corner opposite Tyson Campbell or perhaps another tight end, knowing full well, and we've seen it in the clips and the live coverage on NFL Network, and you're seeing it before your very eyes, how deep this draft class is at the tight end position?
I think corner is definitely more important, I think for a couple of reasons. Because of how deep this tight end class is, I think they can wait and get a guy later on instead of addressing it a little earlier. But above anything else, that second cornerback spot opposite Tyson Campbell has been a massive need for the Jaguars for the last couple of years. I mean, I believe according to FC and Fantasy, the Jaguars covering wide receiver 1s were a top 10 team in the NFL, and then covering wide receiver 2s, they were a bottom 5 team in the NFL. And that is a Tyson Campbell stat. He is a really good corner, but the problem is whoever was opposite Tyson Campbell is getting picked on. You need somebody else, especially if you're going to play a lot of man coverage. You need a second corner, and that's going to help open up the pass rush a little bit more. I know a lot has been made about the pass rush production, but it's hard to get guys on the ground when somebody's running open in quick game all the time. So I think addressing that second cornerback spot will help elevate the rest of the defense and kind of bring some more pressure numbers up. They're going to get more turnovers, but they have to address that corner spot immediately.
So now we'll leave our audience with this because you've been so gracious with your time, JP. And I know you got to get back to the Senior Bowl practices. Who is, if the Jaguars are to go big people, because that's been the talking point since Liam Coen's introductory presser on Monday, if they're to go big people at number 5 and number 36 overall, who are some late, maybe second round, third round, even day 3 corners who've caught your eye through a day and a half in Mobile at the Senior Bowl?
He's a little bit undersized, but Quincy Riley has been really good this week. He's competitive. He's feisty. He's going to get in guys' faces in man coverage, and I think that's something that NFL teams will appreciate. And he's also made a bunch of plays on the ball. He almost got an interception today, breaking on a in-breaker route that was underthrown. So I think he's a guy that's really interesting. We've seen the Florida State to Jaguar pipeline lead to some really good defensive backs. Jarian Jones played really well as a rookie in the slot. And I think Azariah Thomas might be even better. I think he's an outside corner more than the slot where Jarian Jones plays, but he has that demeanor in man coverage that I think NFL teams are going to like, and he had a lot of ball production. I think he's a little bit skinny, he's a little bit slender, but if you're still going to play a lot of man coverage like the Jaguars did last year, then Azariah Thomas is going to be somebody that you really want to get.
And he's just 20 years old, folks. JP, another wonder kid in his own right. Thank you so much for joining us on the Garber Auto Mall phone line. We will have to do it again sometime. Go enjoy the cookout and some barbecue out there in Mobile, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Again, that's JP Acosta. You can find him on X and all of his great stuff at SB Nation. And, of course, his Jaguar musings as well as a lifelong Florida man at Acosta32_JP.
We have more to do on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Taking your sports day into the night.
Guaranteed to give you unbelievable power.
Into the night with Rick Ballou.
That guy could be a movie star.
Then Hacker After Dark.
They happen to be the hottest thing in the country.
Evenings on 1010XL.
Value or flavor? Price or taste? Why choose when you can get both? With everyday deals at Sonny's. Right now, you can get the pork big deal for $10, the pork and rib combo for $12, and all you can eat ribs for just $19.99. Yep, you heard right. All your favorites are now available all day, every day. And that's why it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue. Local pitmasters since '68.
Mia here. You want to know what's better than a sale? A sale on top of a sale, right? And that's exactly what's going on now at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned during their Everything's on Sale sale. Just how on sale is it? How about zero down and just $288 per month for a pre-owned 2022 Toyota Corolla? Or you choose a pre-owned 2021 Camry, RAV4, Tacoma for zero down and only $388 per month. But that's not all. I mean, this is a sale on top of a sale where everything is on sale. And that's why my friends at Arlington are offering you no payments till July 2025. You heard that right. July 2025, no payments. Plus, Arlington's lot is packed with over 600 vehicles, and you get 60 days to love your purchase or exchange it. It's official. It's a sale on top of a sale during the Everything's on Sale sale at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. That's some kind of sale. Shop in person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey. Here in North Florida, you know that when temperatures go up and your AC goes out, you need help now. Like right now. Like lickety-split. So why not call Lickety Split and get same-day emergency service for your AC? Now, I bet you've seen their trucks all over town because they've got dozens of certified technicians ready to repair not only your AC, but your home's plumbing and electrical too. So when you want it done right and you need it done right now, call Lickety Split AC Plumbing and Electric.
Hey, are you ready to welcome our new head coach, Liam Coen, to the bank? Join us this Thursday at 6 p.m. at the Gallagher Club West and be among the first to hear directly from Coach Coen. Enjoy a live panel with Coach Coen, appearances from Jaguars legend Tony Vaselli, The Roar, Jackson DeVille, and the D-Line. Tickets are free, but space is limited. Secure your tickets by going to jaguars.com/Coach Coen today.
Mike Dempsey here. All right, we're almost a month into the new year. How's that resolution to drop your first 20 to 25 pounds going? Didn't happen? Yeah, well, that's probably because you didn't call Awaken 180 weight loss. I did, and in just 4 weeks, I dropped 23 pounds and was at my goal. But here's the crazy part. It didn't stop there. It was so easy. I kept going. Did it another week. Next thing I know, I'm down 27 pounds. That's right, 27. You know what's wild? I can still see my abs again. Not ripped. I don't have a six-pack, but I didn't even think I had those anymore before Awaken 180. It's amazing when you see the results, feel the results. You just want to keep pushing forward. That's what makes Awaken 180 so different. It's not some medication quick fix where the weight comes off and comes back. It's real results that you can see and feel. Fast results and lasting results. Results that make you want to keep going. To reach a goal you never thought possible. Want the same for you? Then do it. Call the solution for weight loss, Awaken 180 Weight Loss, 844-346-1800, or visit awaken180weightloss.com today.
It's Helmets and Heels, Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TURN to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TURN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TURN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Ready, aim, inspire at the 7th Annual Mackenzie Noel Wilson Foundation Clay Shoot, Thursday, February 20th at Jack's Clay Target Sports. Hi, I'm Paul Martinez, president of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida. We've got you covered. Ammo, carts, clays, delicious food, and amazing prizes. Whether you're a sharpshooter or just in it for fun, this event is for you. Support the important work of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida and Mackenzie's Camp Deep Pond. Sign up at bgcnf.org/events.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On January 29, 1936, the first players were elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Ty Cobb, Babe Ruth, Honus Wagner, Christy Mathewson, and Walter Johnson.
Shopping for your Valentine and dreaming of seeing that smile? Then make sure you swing by Golden Diamonds Direct for a beautiful piece of jewelry made with quality and care. Joe C. for Golden Diamonds Direct in the Plantation Publix Plaza on Racetrack Road. They've been in business for over 40 years, taking care of customers the right way with great gift ideas. Golden Diamonds Direct on Racetrack Road in the Plantation Publix Plaza. Chip, Curtis, Sam, and the crew, they can take care of you so you can take care of your Valentine.
Hey, are you ready to welcome our new head coach, Liam Coen, to the bank? Join us this Thursday at 6 p.m. at the Gallagher Club West and be among the first to hear directly from Coach Coen. Enjoy a live panel with Coach Coen, appearances from Jaguars legend Tony Vaselli, The Roar, Jackson DeVille, and the D-Line. Tickets are free, but space is limited. Secure your tickets by going to jaguars.com/Coach Coen today.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
He's going to be a good NFL player for 10 years. He's someone that can make players around him better. We've seen that in Michigan. So if that's fit for Jacksonville, I think you get excited about, okay, this is a building block type defensive tackle. He's not Aaron Donald, right? That's not who he is, but he could be a really, really good defensive tackle for a long time.
The comments of Matt Miller on with Jaguars Today talking about Mason Graham, the Michigan defensive lineman. We just chatted with JP Acosta live from the Senior Bowl. He had a lot of good things to say about different prospects there, so make sure, if you missed it, check out that interview because the draft starts in Mobile as we welcome in Taylor Dahl. Taylor, so good to see you today.
Yes, thank you.
And look, when it comes to Mason Graham, I think the Jaguars and the other guys that are near the top of this draft, whether it is a Will Campbell, I doubt the Jaguars are going to go in that direction because he's a tackle, but whether it is a Will Johnson, the corner, the Jaguars are going to have some options. They may not get Travis Hunter, but they're going to have options. And the question, of course, will then become, what do they value the most? And we don't even know who the new GM is to be able to get a track record, obviously, yet. But where do we see them going? For some reason, I'm leaning kind of like JP. I'm leaning corner at this point in time. The corner opposite Tyson is a huge hole.
Yeah, and I think that
everything that we've started to see and read and hear about this NFL draft is a lot of people saying, like, it's probably not the best year to be picking in the top 10 because it doesn't have a ton of blue chip guys, but it has some depth as you get going. Like, you can get a lot of value in players once you're getting to that end of the first, second, and third round. So you do this year, I think, want to focus on maybe some of those. But I still think there are some names up here that you can get in the top 10 that are beneficial for what the Jaguars need right now. And I think that is where the focus needs to be this year. Is for so many years we have said, okay, where do you take value? Do you take positional need? Do you take this? I think this is the year where you take positional need because it is I don't know how drastically different someone in the top 10 is going to be compared to somebody in those 30s, 40s. And so get what you need. Get that position group that you think is going to make the biggest difference and pretty soon.
Well, I asked Kevin the question last night as I was reviewing tape and the NFL Network's coverage of the Senior Bowl from yesterday. And and JP did a great job of outlining so many of the defensive tackles and some of the defensive linemen who have inside-outside versatility who've been on display the last day and a half.
Mm-hmm. And he specifically mentioned me a Tennessee defensive tackle, Omar Norman Lott.
Who got hurt and isn't going to play, isn't going to practice the rest of the week, most likely.
Exactly. So you won't get to see much of him now. But
he got hurt at the Senior Bowl?
He did, yeah, in a practice yesterday. Projected day 2, 297 pounds. So I think that's the other reason I'm leaning corners because I do think you could get a defensive tackle.
Well, so that's the but that's the question I asked Kevin, and I think Matt Miller did a great job earlier today on Jags Today explaining it. Yes, maybe you get a DeJuan Smoot, right, on day 2 or day 3. Maybe you get a Devon Hamilton if you're looking for a nose tackle. Maybe you get I don't know, just give me, I was going to say Roy Robertson Harris, but like give me a interior defensive lineman, right, who's kind of a good, productive player.
A younger Eric Armstead?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you get a younger Eric Armstead on day 2, day 3, and you're like, that's a solid hit for a second or a third round pick. I love that. But if you pass on Mason Graham, and Mason Graham's floor is he's going to make 5 Pro Bowls in his career, then what do you do?
Yeah, and if you know that going in, then you take Mason Graham.
Right, exactly. And that's the sentiment, not just from Matt Miller, and we didn't really ask JP, but I'm sure he would echo this, and I know Daniel Jeremiah has said this. Mason Graham is the cleanest prospect in this class. And so that's where it's very difficult to separate, hey, look, there's depth, we could get some value later in the draft versus this guy is bona fide, going to give you 10 years of solid play and make 5 Pro Bowls.
But he also may, in theory, if other teams believe that too, that exactly what Daniel Jeremiah said, that he's the cleanest prospect, then why isn't a team ahead of the Jaguars?
Because they're going to take a quarterback ahead of him.
The Patriots?
Well, the Patriots could take him, or they could take Abdul Carter, or they could take Will Campbell.
Travis Hunter, they could take, but I'm just saying, if other teams believe that too, then you go with the surest bet in that sense, and that would be someone like a Mason Graham. So even though we say, he's a great plug for Jacksonville, or a great fit for Jacksonville, they can plug him in there, he also may not be there.
Yeah, and that's what I remember going back to. This is like way before we were starting to look at drafts, but obviously the draft people are right away when the season starts. And I remember the first mock draft I saw probably in September, like end of September, had the Jags drafting Mason Graham with like the 3rd pick or something. And I remember number 1, everyone was like, "What? No way! The Jags are drafting in the top 5 again."
Well,
and then number 2, people were like, "What? We just spent so much money in free agency and capital in the draft on defensive tackles and that defensive line. Are we really going to need that again?" And look, yes, we are still looking at that.
We need to find whoever wrote that.
I know.
That person was clairvoyant for sure.
And I honestly probably can because I think it was it might have been one of my tangents or something that I was thinking about, and I saved the article specifically because I was like, I really want to go back at the end of the year and see if this, number 1, where we landed in the draft, number 2, if Mason Graham's someone we're still looking at. But I do think, Mia, when you're talking about that, because yes, I think when it comes to the draft, and one of my favorite things, one of the favorite quotes I've ever heard when we're talking about it is, the draft is not a science, and that's what part of it is, because I think a lot of time there are the safe bets. They're the ones that you're like, this player is going to be good. He's
Aiden
going to. That's what I was about to say. And Aiden Hutchinson is that guy that everybody was like, he's going to be good in the NFL.
His floor is Ryan Kerrigan.
Yes. And then there's guys where you start looking at and you're like, okay, they could be good. Their ceiling is way higher, though. So are you going to project that this person's ceiling is going to be higher and it's a position of high need?
That's Trayvon Walker.
Trayvon Walker. Or are you going to go the safe bet and get a guy that, yes, is going to be good, but how high is that ceiling? Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson has already proved that
He was going to the ceiling, not to the floor.
Exactly. But that's where the draft talk is so interesting to me, because it is so many guys that you're kind of guessing a little bit about where they're fit, how everything kind of translates from the NFL. We talk about these guys who played in the SEC compared to other conferences, and how much that the level of competitiveness in those leagues, how is it going to transfer? Are they used to this type of coaching and this type of coaching? And all of those things factor into this. So Mason Graham is a safe bet. It's a guy that you know is going to come in here and play at a pretty high level and pretty quickly and be ready. Or you get a guy that you know is a dire need. You know it's a corner maybe that maybe people have a few questions about, but it may take a little time to mold, which I feel like has been kind of the MO around here recently, not the guys that are specifically ready to go right out the gates. I think this time you have to get someone who is going to be a day one starter and is going to be able to play right away at a high level.
And
that's why I'm glad, by the way, that there's a new regime that's going to take place in the front office.
Thank you.
Because of, the decisions that have been made.
Right. And you can make the argument that a pass rushing interior defensive lineman is also a need.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted JP to kind of give us an idea of what these, because the offensive line is also, interior offensive line is also a need. And again, we'll see after free agency where the holes still remain for the Jaguars. And I think that plays a factor into this as well, because depending on what the Jaguars do, who they restructure, who they release, how they create some more cap space potentially, the Jags could go up to having, I believe it's the 8th most cap space in the National Football League this offseason, depending on the moves they make. And so that in turn could say, hey, we could get a plug-and-play guy in his prime if we pay him as well, as opposed to having to bank on a young 22-year-old kid coming in and being able to adjust to the National Football League right away, too. So that's where we are still very much, folks, at the 101. Maybe, I guess, now that we're in Senior Bowl, we're probably in, like, the 180 level, like, when it comes to college course, getting ready for the NFL draft. I will tell you, in the sake of full transparency, Taylor Dahl and I have our first 1010XL draft guide coverage meeting this afternoon. So, like, We're there, but we're not all the way there yet, because we still need to have an idea of A, what the Jaguars do in the other regards of the offseason program, but also B, we don't know who the GM is yet.
Yeah, that is a part of it.
It is. And you also wonder, and I've scanned through free agent lists, and it's not a great free agent class necessarily, but is there a guy that could be the right defensive tackle for a year or two here as the Jaguars get more snaps for Mason Smith, as Eric Armstead is obviously still here, but another guy that could come in and play a significant role along the defensive front if you're not going to take top draft capital and put that into another defensive interior player, right? Like Liam Coen's going to look at this roster, and I'm sure he's going to say, I need another receiver.
Yeah.
And I probably need another tight end, potentially, depending on what they do with Evan Ingram. And then obviously on the defensive side, there's safety, there's corner, there's interior defensive line. Some people would say now that Trent Baalke's gone, he's not going to draft as many linebackers. So what does the linebacker room look like, right? So like you said, Mia, we're very early into the process, but we all eventually fall in love with what we think this team should do. And it will be shaped, obviously, like you said, by the general manager. It'll also be shaped by free agency as well. All right.
But I think that, again, just to put a bow on this before we get ready to say hello to Kai Stevens at 1 o'clock, Matt Hayes has been banging the drum for offensive line, defensive line for as long as I feel like I've worked with him here at 1010XL. And the fact that he sat down in that chair yesterday and said, I almost cried at Liam Coen's press conference, because at the very least, he verbatim said the offensive line and defensive line need to be the most important thing besides Trevor. That, at the very least, because that's all we have to go off of right now in terms of what direction this new regime will go into, that speaks to a change, at least in terms of, again, we don't know measurables, we don't know, but in terms of priority here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, the first person to interview, at least that I saw, after Shad Khan and Tony Baselli interviewed Liam Coen, was Kai Stevens. We will check in with her on the other side. Jaguars.com. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
Professional radio broadcasters.
Hey, guy. Sorry.
Dinner dozen gifts. A diner dozen.
That is awful.
So Cole.
I was flowing real good, then what?
You've got to be kidding me.
Professional, for crying out loud.
Who wrote this?
1010XL. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Mia here for MyBookie. It's finally here. A game so big, we're not even supposed to say the name, where the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Philadelphia Eagles at the Caesars Superdome. Can you guess which game I'm talking about? This isn't just the biggest game of the year. It's the ultimate betting event. If you're not on MyBookie, you are missing out. Big game betting with MyBookie goes beyond just picking the winner. How about prop bets like heads or tails on the coin toss? What color will the Gatorade be for the drenching of the winning coach? Even the length of the national anthem and the spectacle of the halftime show are up for grabs at MyBookie.ag. We make it easy to win and even easier to get paid, whether you deposit with crypto or credit. Bonuses await, and our new loyalty program gives you cash back just for playing. Bet on big game boosted parlays, live betting, and jackpots that can turn small bets into big wins. Fast signups, lightning fast payouts, where winners play. Why just watch when you can own the big game? Sign up using promo code 1010XL and get your 50% sign up bonus to kick things off. Bet anything, anytime, from anywhere with MyBookie.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
We don't have too many cold nights on the First Coast, but when the temperature drops, you want to hit the heat button and warm up. That's where Florida Home comes in. They're the AC experts in Jacksonville, and the importance of keeping your heating system in good working order is really important. If it stops working when it gets cooler, Florida Home will leap into action and provide you with the best solution. Heater and heat pump repair service and new system installation. They do it all. Just call Florida Home AC at 777-4300, the official heating and AC partner of the Jaguars.
The big game is almost here, and Sonny's Barbecue wants you to win a barbecue feast. Text Sonny's to the text line, brought to you by Lifetime Flooring, at 641-1010 for your chance to win. 641-1010.
Hey gang, Prosser here. If you think you have problems related to the need to sell your home, we have solutions. And by we, I don't mean me. I mean ChadandSandy.com. That's Chad, A-N-D, Sandy.com. Call them today at 904-414-6200. Look, the problems could fall into a variety of areas. Maybe you want guaranteed no-hassle home sale, but don't want to give up hard-earned equity to do it. Maybe you need more space with a growing family. Doesn't matter what the problems are. You go to Chad and Sandy. Those problems are fixed. With all the recent talk about interest rates and economic uncertainty, you may be wondering if now is the right time to sell your home. Will you get the price you need? What about repairs or showings? The good news, you don't have to figure it out by yourself. You call my agents, Chad and Sandy Newman. They will deliver. Your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. No required costly repairs. Pick your move date. No long-term contracts. The success stories are rolling in from all over town. Find out for yourself. Call Chad and Sandy today. That's Chad, A-N-D, Sandy.com.
Helmets and heels.
Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Hey, it's Angela and Brian Wall. How many companies do you know in this day and age that actually want their potential customers to call their competition and get quotes from them?
That's what WindoWorld wants you to do. WindoWorld knows there are other window companies out there, but we also know those other guys. When compared to WindoWorld, they can't offer you the quality at the price that WindoWorld can.
And with WindoWorld, you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement business.
If anything goes wrong with your new WindoWorld windows, 5 years from now, 10, 15, 50, WindoWorld and I will be there to fix it for you. You get peace of mind with WindoWorld, and to top it off, WindoWorld windows increase the value of your home. So look what you get with WindoWorld. Quality windows, low price, the best guarantee in the business, energy savings, and an increase in the value of your home. A win-win for you.
Call WindowWorld today and get your free in-home estimate, or see them online at windowworldneflorida.com.
WindowWorld, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
WindowWorld also offers energy-efficient doors.
This is Burton Cummings, the voice of a generation. Burton Cummings, 60th Anniversary Hits Tour. February 5th at Florida Theater. With special guest, Jim Messina. Burton Cummings and his band. 6 60th Anniversary Hits Tour. Tickets on sale now at floridatheater.com.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Mia here. Since 1982, Closets by Design has specialized in creating dream spaces for every budget. My designer, Frances, made the process so easy. She came to my house and designed a walk-in closet that's not only beautiful, but also incredibly functional for me and old Beau Valentine. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation at 800-293-3744. Hey, and if you mention Mia or Helmets and Heels, you'll qualify for free base molding. Call today or visit closetsbydesign.com.
Transform your bathroom with stunning shower glass from Sky Glass Solutions in Jacksonville Beach. For a free quote, call 904-608-5151 or visit skyglasssolutions.com.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Lone Pronto. The unstoppable JU Dolphins, who sit first in the ASUN Conference, are on the road tonight for a matchup against the FGCU Eagles, who are 6-2 in conference play. Dolphins assistant coach Stuckey Mosley on staying focused to continue their winning ways.
Yeah, we're trying to just keep our head down, stay focused, make sure we're getting better every day. A lot of times in practice, instead of being so scout-based, we're just focused on improving ourselves each day.
Dolphins and Eagles tonight at 7. Listen to the game live on 1010 a.m. The UNF Ospreys shift their sight to Stetson, who they'll host tonight in the Nest for a 7 p.m. tip-off, with the Ospreys leading the all-time series between the two teams 23-16. The Ospreys will look to snap Stetson's 3-game winning streak. The Jacksonville Jaguars are inviting you to hear from new head coach Liam Coen at a free fan event Thursday night starting at 6 down in the bank. To secure your free ticket in advance, visit jaguars.com/Coach Coen. It's 70 degrees at 12:59. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. We welcome in our next guest, Kai Stevens, team reporter and producer for Jaguars.com. Kai, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, ladies. Always happy to help.
We sincerely appreciate it, especially since, like I was just saying, right after Shad Khan, Tony Baselli signed Liam Coen, it seems like you were the next person to interview him, Kai, before he took the podium. So tell us about that first time you got to chat with him.
It was great. I think for us, we've been, obviously the back end of that season, we knew some changes were going to be coming here. So kind of felt that way in the building for quite some time. So Coach Coen came in and the energy was there right out of the gate. Obviously, going to remains to be seen what he'll do on the field. But just that energy, you want to be around someone that wants to be in this building, right? He's excited from the get-go to work with Trevor Lawrence to get things going. And I think just the vibe change in general, you could feel immediately. So it's all been positive since then.
One of the things, Kai, that stuck out to me when Liam Coen spoke was his emphasis on physicality and wanting to bring that physical word here to Jacksonville. And he used the word savages, which I loved because I feel like it's something we've talked about a lot. In general, when you were speaking with him and now kind of being around the players and seeing them interact with him, is that just kind of the vibe you get is bringing this just extra energy, this next physical level to Jacksonville?
Yeah, I think, Taylor, that's right in the sense that he wants it to be about the skill sets that they have on this team. Obviously, we've talked about them not being good enough on either side of the line, offense or defense. What Coen was able to do on the offensive line with Tampa last year was impressive. I think that's something he's hoping to do here, whether that's with new players or working with some that he already has. But it's definitely a focus of, he says, players, not plays, which is something I think is something Jags fans have wanted, but maybe not knowing exactly what that means. Obviously, calling for BTJ to get more involved, that was a pretty obvious version of that. But also just utilizing the skill sets that you have. It felt at times this season they were going away from things they didn't do well instead of focusing on the things that they did do well. So that's definitely his approach to this, is to figure out what their skill sets are and go with that.
Kai Stevens, team reporter for the Jaguars, our guest on the Garber Automall phone line. Kai, I want to get right to our text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures from 586. Just so that you guys want to note, I don't know how that first part of that sentence was phrased, but with all the national media hoopla with Liam's awkward Duval, what's the over-under that he nails it tomorrow at the pep rally? I can just imagine the rehearsal time Jags PR and company are doing as they double down with the event's title name.
I think there has to be at this point, right? I'm sure there'll be some coaching. He understands it, I think, and this I will say as well, because I've had some scripts that have come my way. When you try to put the Duval in the middle of a sentence that you're speaking is never advised. Anytime I get a script like that, I'm like, don't, because it completely throws you off. And I think that's what happened, because he did a first Duval and it was fine. So I think the one mid-speech is where things went a little off the rails. So I think when he does it in a crowd as well, I think that will definitely help him out.
Thank you. Yes, context is key. Thank you, Kai Stevens. I've been saying it on the airwaves here for the last 3 days, so thank you for that. I don't want you to give away any secrets, but I'm curious in terms of right now what's going on in the building. Obviously, we know that coordinator interviews are underway. I would assume there's a contingent as well, at the very least, interim general manager, assistant general manager Ethan Wong company at the Senior Bowl. Where do you guys have boots on the ground? What's your understanding of where everyone in the Coen administration is right now?
I think everyone's within, in terms of where they're physically located. They're focused on the coordinators right now, building out this staff. Obviously, we saw special teams coordinator Heath Farwell got extended earlier this week, which is great to hear. He's a great guy to have, and glad he'll still be on the staff. Even Mio, and I remember when we had the whole introductory day, he was here. He was kind of had a heart out around 5 or 6 because of those coaching interviews. That's very much his focus right now, is utilizing all his resources and building that staff around him, which is great for us. I think once we see who those coordinators are going to be, we'll have a better idea of what this team identity might end up looking like, especially once he makes a decision about defensive coordinator.
Kai, when it comes to the quarterback, obviously that's the most important thing that Liam Coen will be focused on is getting Trevor right. And do you think that the relationship between he and Trevor will be different than the relationship he had with Doug Peterson?
I think it's going to have to be. I think with him being a little bit younger, Coen can be a little bit more relatable. And I think there's also a couple of things. I mean, Trevor's talked about it specifically when we spoke most recently, when I spoke to him in a one-on-one. He wants to be healthy, and he hasn't been for a while. And we discount that a little bit. And a lot of that will relate to the offensive line and keeping him protected. But we haven't seen 100% Trevor Lawrence for a full season in a while. And I think that will be crucial to him being successful, because we know he doesn't play well when he hasn't had practice reps. And if he's hurt, he can't practice full time. That really hinders him. So keeping him healthy is huge. And then I think just having someone that's a little more relatable, I think, just the age difference will probably help in terms of just being a little more new school, if you want to term it that, and just communication styles. I think obviously they'll need to kind of get going and see what that exactly is going to look like. But I'm sure Trevor's looked at some of the tape of what Coen's done with Baker and been pretty impressed with that. So I'm sure he'd like that for himself.
And you like that Liam Coen's from Rhode Island.
I do. I love a New Englander. I had to call because obviously Rhode Island's the smallest state ever. So everybody knows everybody. And I got a confirmed, oh yeah, he's wicked nice, which in New England is a high compliment. So
we are familiar with that word because one of our former co-hosts, Donna Murphy, is from up there, and she said wicked all the time. But Kai, when we're talking about Mia asked where kind of their mindset is right now, but when it comes to, is there a sense of urgency? Do you feel like they seem relaxed, confident, and because they are a couple weeks behind compared to some of these other teams because of obviously letting go of Balky a little later than what people expected. So what does that kind of feel like around the facilities?
I think I would say it's pretty much an optimistic feeling. As I mentioned, just the players are here pretty much all the time anyway, in and out, rehabbing or training and whatnot. And I think the energy brought in yesterday, it gives them some hope. I think there was it was stagnant sort of a little bit for a while, right? Because we knew things were going to happen, changes would be made. Maybe we didn't know which ones they were going to be. And then it was kind of, okay, hurry up and wait. And now that we have, the head coach in place, it's a little bit easier to focus on, okay, what is this going to look like? I think it's more, I don't know if it's daunting. I think it would be more looked at as like a chance of opportunity. When you're looking, you're seeing these names, and you're like, oh, it could look like this. Oh, it could look like this. It's more of an optimistic approach, which is something I haven't had for a while just because of the way the back end of the season was. So I think just having that optimistic viewpoint going forward is a good thing for the building.
Kai Stevens, our guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line. Kai, I don't think we've had you on Helmets and Heels in a little bit. I think this may be the first time that we've had you on the Garber Auto Mall phone line, and I've had to look over at RJ and say, hey, could we hit a that, please, RJ? Because we got a little bit of a breaking news in Duval County.
That just happened. Brought to you by Florida Home AC, the official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Now, this one's interesting, Kai, and I'd love for your take, the first take we're going to get on this one on the 1010XL airwaves. We know that the Jaguars have completed one offensive coordinator interview so far. Nate Shieldhouse, currently the passing game specialist with the Los Angeles Rams. Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network reporting that Commanders' assistant quarterback coach, former NFL quarterback and former Purdue quarterback David Blau, has requests from the Jets and the Jaguars to interview for their quarterback coaching jobs. As well, Taylor Dahl, as a request from the Bears for their passing game coordinator position. Kai, that's the first known, I guess really only the second name on the offensive side of the ball that we've heard so far. And obviously it's the first name we've heard for a potential assistant coaching job that isn't a coordinator position.
It is. That's interesting. I walked away from my computer, so I love this breaking news situation. A youth movement. He's young, is he not? Because he's backup for a while.
He's 29 because he was in college forever. But it is only his third year coaching because
I was going to say I remember him on Hard Knocks.
He played till exactly. He was with the Lions in that Hard Knocks 2023 season, and so this was only his first full season as an assistant coach on a coaching staff, and that was obviously under Cliff Kingsbury in Washington.
Interesting. Oh yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. I want every stone uncovered. I think I'm the kind of person call whoever you have to call, and even if it's out of the ordinary, I'm fine with that. I would rather you really find someone that you feel fits with what you're doing than you're just going through, the list of names that everybody goes through every year. So I'm all for that. I don't know if this is going to be something that he's ready to do at this point in his career or where they'll fit him in, but I'm excited to see where that goes.
Kai, certainly it feels like Liam Coen is forward thinking, and that's going to help this offense. I do want to go back to last week. A week ago today, in about 2 hours from now, Trent Baalke was let go. And obviously that was after the fact that Doug Peterson was 2.5 weeks before that. How did the news how was the news disseminated in the building that day? How did that, word get out and things like that?
It breaks a lot of the same ways that you find out about things. Obviously, we consult with PR as well when we release information. So we found out a similar way. I think we were all we know Shad Khan, the owner, had mentioned that was a possibility at his press availability when they announced they were letting go Doug Peterson. So I don't know if it was entirely a huge shock. Obviously, the timing was not what we've seen a ton of before. Most teams, let both go at the same time or they keep someone along. So I think from what we've heard of the situation, it was kind of a mutual parting of things. And then they continue very much to get right back into their coaching search and go after Liam Coen because that's the person that they really wanted. So doubled back on that and got that done. And as I mentioned, just kind of since all of that has gone down, it was very quick, kind of back to back, all that stuff. It's been positivity and just excitement to kind of know which way things are going from here.
Kai, when we're looking ahead, obviously we've started talking about the draft here for a little bit, but I know other things going on in the building. It is getting close, though, to where we're having these conversations about free agency and the draft and the combine and all of those things. For you, do you think from speaking with Liam Coen that the number one emphasis seems to be on the offensive line for him?
I think that has to be in his mind because he's not going to be able to do the things he wants to do unless it's the offensive line is where he needs it to be, right? So some of it you've got kind of already set in the sense of Anton Harrison's not going anywhere. Obviously, Ezra Cleveland signed a deal last year. Walker Little signing his extension last year. There's some situations with what you'll do with Brandon Sheriff, what you'll do with that right side. Obviously, Cooper Hodges had a knee injury. They had really hoped he would kind of come into his own last year, and he was playing really well until he underwent another significant leg injury, so they'll have to see where he goes from there. But I have to imagine that's a focus of his. I don't know if it'll be the focus in the first round for him or if that's something they can kind of address later on. I'm sure that will be something that they look at. But I think at this point, coach is definitely focusing on staff, and then I think Ethan was in the active GM role, so I think they're kind of looking at the draft right now, looking forward.
Kai, what's your role tomorrow night with the really fun Coach Coen's first Duval?
I'm not a part of the new Duval. JP Shadrick is going to be hosting that one, but It's going to be fun. It'll be at the stadium. So I know fans just I think we're waiting for whoever this was going to be. So it'll be nice to go out and celebrate this a little bit. It starts at 6, I believe. And then Coach Tony Baselli, I believe some players will be involved. All that's going to start around 7 o'clock. So everything will be open, drinks, food, all that stuff. So it should be a good time.
So
and a better Duval. I promise. I promise.
Kai, I hope you're practicing with him. You can, by the way, then enjoy the 40% off concessions and 25% off all the merchandise. I'm sure you don't have enough Jags merchandise. Exactly.
We love a sale.
I am a sale girl, yes.
All right, Kai, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thanks, guys.
All right, there she goes. Kai Stevens got to interview Liam Coen before he met with media earlier this week. And look, I think Kai has a great perspective because she has been here long enough to understand how things work at the Miller Electric Center and not Everbank Stadium, but she hasn't been here so long that it's not like she was here through the Gus Bradley era and then the, all Urban Meyer era. But she certainly has the unique perspective of being around all of this every single day and certainly being in the locker room and things like that as well. So we appreciate Kai's time. On the other side, I'll give you today's Terminex Pest of the Day. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
1010XL takes you inside the program director's office with Dan and Jeff.
They don't even know they're on the air, do they?
The Drill.
Is there any way to tell them that they're on the air? Nope.
Mornings on 1010XL.
Oh, they're going to curse. I know it.
David Garrard here. Playing in the NFL can put a lot of wear and tear on your body, especially your knees. Southeast Orthopedic Specialist has kept me mobile and ready to tackle every day.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist.
David Garrard here. I've had the PRP treatment from Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, and my knees are really doing well. Platelet-rich plasma treatment may be the answer for whatever is hurting you.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist.
Interested in a unique date night? Gibby here. I took my wife Nikki to Wick a Candle Bar. She made her own custom candle right there in the store. Shop local at Wick a Candle Bar. Locations in San Marco and Jacks Beach.
It's New Year's resolution time, so why not skip the guilt and do something you'll actually stick to, like fixing that leaky faucet, unclogging that drain, or getting your AC ready for the summer.
DuckDuck Rooter is here to help you keep this resolution. Investing in your home.
Start the year off right with DuckDuck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. Call us today at 904-862-6769, because when you're stuck, call the Duck. Right now, get $50 off any service of $150 or more.
Mia here for my friends at Projax Roofing. Winter is coming. In fact, it's probably already here. If your roof took on any damage at all this year and you want to get ahead of these cold winter months, know that Projax Roofing is here to help. From the smallest of repairs to full roof replacements, my friend Mike has been serving all of Northeast Florida for 25 years. If you need any help with your roof, call Projax Roofing at 904-338-1722 or visit them online at projaxroofingfl.com.
It's a Helmets and Heels Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Gun charges, drug charges. I'm Attorney Malcolm Anthony, and I specialize in handling these types of felony cases. Stay out of trouble, but if you don't, call me at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW.
Matt A's here for Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code JAX to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code JAX to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game.
The Electric Light Orchestra experience comes to the Jacksonville Center for Performing Arts Wednesday, February 5th as part of the FSCJ Artist Series. For a chance to win tickets, text ELO to the text line covered by Lifetime Flooring at 641-1010.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwood Jewelers. Clayton, why is it that when you look at how long a store has been in business, that it always seems to be the stores like Underwood's that sell fine quality that have been around the longest?
Frank, that's a question that really doesn't get asked a lot, but it should be. There are a number of reasons, but probably the biggest is because of the endorsements our longtime customers and their pieces of jewelry have given us through the years. You see, when you sell really fine quality jewelry, that piece will last longer and always stay beautiful. It might stay in the same family for generations. And through those years of wear, a lot of compliments will be made and a lot of people will be told where the piece of jewelry came from. You see, at a store like Underwood's, it's our stated goal to be the best jeweler in the South, not the biggest. So everything we do and carry has to help move us toward that goal. And ultimately, it's the satisfied customers wearing fine quality jewelry that have kept Underwood's in Jacksonville since 1928.
Underwood's in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Denny Thompson here. Tyson Sound and Security has a huge prize sweepstakes now through the big game. I'm talking a 75-inch loaded Samsung TV with 3D surround sound, a sound bar with wireless subwoofer, and installation is included. Stop by the new showroom, check out the setup, and drop your name in the box for your chance to win the $2,500 prize now through February 9th. Tyson Sound and Security now at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming, Iowa.
When it comes to towing products, your safety on the road is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Whether it's a heavy-duty tow hitch, trailer frame, wiring, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjax.com to explore a range of products and schedule your installation. Cannons of Jacksonville, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
Hi, Jags fans. Walker Little here for my friends at Kingfish Pest Control. Playing offensive line in the NFL, I must block and protect on every down. When it comes to keeping my home pest-free, I expect that same level of protection. So I contacted Kingfish after seeing thousands of positive online customer reviews about their service. I can confirm from personal experience, bugs don't stand a chance getting past Kingfish Pest Control. Do what I did. Reach out to Kingfish Pest Control to protect your home, a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey, are you ready to welcome our new head coach, Liam Coen, to the bank? Join us this Thursday at 6 p.m. at the Gallagher Club West and be among the first to hear directly from Coach Coen. Enjoy a live panel with Coach Coen, appearances from Jaguars legend Tony Vaselli, The Roar, Jackson DeVille, and the D-Line. Tickets are free, but space is limited. Secure your tickets by going to jaguars.com/Coach Coen today.
When you need a mechanic you can trust, call Sam, Harry, or Joe at AA Automotive on Richard Street. From oil changes to complex engine repairs, AA Automotive promises expert service and honest pricing from a local family biz. AA Automotive on Richard Street.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale Lighting, Fans, and Home Decor on 1010XL.
We appreciate Kai Stevens' time as well as JP Acosta from earlier in the program. All right, ladies, before I get to my Terminix Pest of the day, I have a question for you. Do you believe it when someone says, that wasn't me, I was hacked?
9 times out of 10, no.
Okay. Taylor?
Yeah, I feel like usually my mind goes to, I don't believe that. There have been circumstances where I have been like, oh, that person was hacked for sure. No way. And then, but I think most of the time you're like, I don't believe that. Good excuse though.
Right. Never stay logged in, and none of us use them, but never stay logged into the 1010XL computers in any of your social because someone will go in there and tweet something or post
Beef
something.
used to get on mine all the time, and I would come in with the weirdest things posted, and I'm like, Beef.
I've got the worst one of all time. I'm going to take you back to the year of our Lord 2006 in the days of AIM Messenger. I was logged into my screen name. I went to theater practice, and I come home because I didn't have a cell phone at the time, and I come back to messages and even an email from a classmate and friend of mine saying, hey, why are you messaging so-and-so and, like, being really weird? And I said, what? And they're like, yeah, like all these weird messages from, like, between 4 and 6. I'm like, I wasn't home. Well, my parents were on their anniversary trip to Vegas that week, ironically, for this program. And my grandmother and grandfather were watching us, and they're probably watching this live stream right now. And yes, my poppy logged in to my username and started to just message all of my friends who he was friends with, posing as me. So, yeah.
What was he saying?
I don't know.
Like ASL?
I don't know. I literally don't even remember. But I just remember, like, people were legitimately, like, he was
Gramps is like, what's
poking fun at people, like, picking a fight. Like, he's probably listening right now. Or my Grammy's at least listening. Shout out to Grammy. And like,
so funny.
Yeah, to this day, I still look back on that and I'm like, my God, I was hacked. I was the original hacked, and I didn't know that even was a thing when I was 13 years old.
Well, that leads us to our Terminix Pest of the Day. Because Patrick Mahomes Sr., that would be, yes, Patrick Mahomes' father, ruffled feathers after his Twitter account took shots at the Bills fans this week. He posted, or he says someone else did, "Today is a great day to not be from Buffalo." Then he came out and said that he hasn't used his Twitter account in years. He was hacked. I don't know if I believe it or not, but either way, I feel like Patrick Mahomes Sr. has already done some crazy stuff.
He's done some worse things than
he certainly has. He's today's Terminix Pest of the Day. If you have issues with pests or rodents, certainly those are no fun. Find our friends Terminix online at Terminix.com, Terminix. And we've been talking a lot about Everbank Stadium today. They do handle everything at Everbank Stadium. Daly's Place, 5-Star Veterans Memorial Arena. So many of your favorite concert and event venues. Like I said, Terminix.com. I have a crazy stat for y'all.
Can I also give a news update first?
Sure.
Apparently, Mike Garafolo has amended his tweet, and now it no longer has the Jaguars as being requested for the quarterback coach position.
All this.
But I also wonder if that is because the Jaguars have yet to hire an OC.
Right. So tricky to then, yeah. Unless he was being, interviewed for the OC position, which we don't believe.
I was wondering because I was trying to quote tweet it because I was telling you guys off air. My memory of him is when he almost beat the Bears on Thanksgiving in 2019 when he was in for Detroit. And I was going through that roster and I'm like, the roster was so bad. Like, go look at the 2019 Detroit roster and compare it to right now, and you'll be like, they changed everything. Like, there's maybe 2 players left on that roster, and that's light years better. But yeah, David Blau almost won almost beat Mitchell Trubisky.
The Jaguars 2019 roster to now also a lot different, but not light years necessarily.
Yeah,
better, certainly better though.
At least it's different.
Yeah, different for sure. Hopefully a season from now, a lot better. So here's the crazy stat, and of course, all of our favorite stats come from Daniel Griffiths. But this, to me, goes to show you just how impressive Brian Thomas Jr.'s rookie campaign was. Because, of course, he only had Trevor Lawrence for a portion of the season, and then he had Mac Jones. Mac Jones had more interceptions, that would be 6, than completions, that would be 5, on throws 20 or more yards downfield. Mac Jones was 5 of 26, that would be just 19.6% throwing the ball deep. That's right, more interceptions than completions, throwing the ball, pushing the ball downfield. We obviously
Saucy nugs.
We saw Mac Jones time and time again try it, and then that ball would float in the air, and usually the defenders would get it. But really, really impressive.
Sometimes it was up there for so long. I'm like, is it going to come down? I'm not sure.
What goes up must come down. Laws of physics, right? But how Brian Thomas Jr. was able to still be a threat towards the end of the season when he had a quarterback that is not a down the field ball thrower, certainly not good at it. That's impressive to me.
Yeah. And I think that this is one of the reasons I was not excited when Mac Jones came here. But you have to give credit to Brian Thomas Jr. in every light of this season of how he handled, like, coming into what this turned into as a rookie season, in your rookie season, it's hard. It's hard to get through all that. You don't have the relationships in the locker room that other people have to get you through some of this stuff and through some of the split that was clearly happening and some of the questions when it was revolving. Did Doug Peterson lose the locker room? Does Doug Peterson hate Trevor Lawrence? Does all of these things kind of going on? And then you lose the quarterback that you have been kind of working with and trying to figure stuff out with and starting to get this connection with. And then other players start to drop like flies too, obviously, when Christian Kirk gets hurt and Ingram gets hurt, and it's just one thing after another. And when at the end of the season, and I've said this before, give credit to Parker Washington because he stepped in and filled some big shoes too when he needed to down the stretch. But being able to see what Brian Thomas Jr. was doing with a quarterback who's not good and with a team who was absolutely falling apart, you have to give him credit over and over and over again with the way he handled it and the way that he just got better throughout the season too.
And as Kai Stevens said, the hope is, of course, we will have a healthy Trevor Lawrence for 17 games and then some in 2025. But Mac Jones is no longer under contract. I would assume C.J. Beathard didn't sign a 2-year deal, so he's no longer under contract. And it'll be curious to see what the Jaguars do with that backup quarterback position. In addition to, Liam Coen did not, with Baker Mayfield, push the ball down the field nearly as much as Trevor Lawrence, Press Taylor, and the previous Jaguars administration did. I believe it was either Gus or it was Daniel Griffiths that posted the numbers. Trevor was like 5th in ADOT, the average depth of target, and Baker was like 31st or something like that. And that's what I'm excited for because it's so hard. And JP Acosta, when he joined us in the 12 o'clock hour, did a great job of like explaining like the screen game can actually be used and if executed properly, like you could have a zone blocking offensive line scheme where you're getting your offensive lineman out and moving, and it actually works. The Jaguars, ultimately, when I look at the previous 3 years and the Doug Peterson administration, their run game and the operation from one side of the offensive staff was looking to run this zone, let's run screens. And then there was another contingent of the staff that were looking to push the ball down the field. And if they weren't pushing it down the field, they were throwing bubbles and like throwing it behind the line of scrimmage. And so I'm just looking for that congruency that ultimately will give us a better idea of what not only Trevor Lawrence's skill set is, because as Liam Coen said, the offensive playbook is going to be curtailed to what Trevor Lawrence does best and what the rest of the players do best. And I'm curious to see what that actually is because I don't think we know.
Yeah.
I truly don't think we know because we had 2 camps pulling in 2 different directions when it came to the playbook the last 3 years, or at the very least the last 2.
I was listening to Primetime yesterday and they were talking about that the screen game. And it is interesting because you watch other teams, successful, good offenses, and you're like, that screen worked so perfectly. Why hasn't it worked here?
Right, and that's how you operate against the blitz. Like,
yes.
You suck the defender in, and then you throw it to the wide open running back usually.
And it just never, it felt like, if they're using ETN in it, he's getting hit 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And then other teams you're seeing get 12 yards out of it. And you're like, I don't understand, but it is personnel. Some of it's personnel. Some of it is the offensive line being able to execute it. Some of it is that the connection between the quarterback and his timing on these plays. But it is coaching. A lot of it is coaching and being able to facilitate the right things to happen in those moments, and it just hasn't happened here. And so it will be fun to see those things work in a positive light because those are the plays that when other teams, it starts frustrating defenses when you're getting screen passes to go for 16 yards. It's frustrating for defenses to watch that over and over again.
Yeah, the other thing that we've said for years too, Taylor, is other teams have wide open guys. Why do the Jaguars never have wide open guys? Specifically the tight end. How many times did a tight end come into Everbank Stadium or if the Jags were on the road and the tight end ends up with 75 plus yards, 2 touchdowns, and they were always wide open? It's like, but the Jaguars also have tight ends, but they're never wide open. Like, why does this constantly happen? And so
just in the middle of the field, tight ends being like, I'm here.
Exactly. Waving people down. Yeah. The Jaguars would have lost to the Titans had Will Levis found his tight end who was literally waving his arms in the end zone. But that's the kind of thing when a year from now and we're talking about the recap of the Jaguars season, hopefully the Jags season is still ongoing. I don't know if maybe they'll go to the Super Bowl in Liam Coen's first year, but we can be positive and hope and optimistic. But hopefully we are saying things like, wow, Liam Coen's play calling was such a breath of fresh air and so many different guys were involved. And now the Jaguars are one of those teams that defensive coordinators have to be concerned because Liam Coen is going to throw things at them, not just necessarily trick plays, but just the variety of things. And it's going to be executed properly. And especially, yes, that offensive line is going to play well. And Trevor is healthy. And those are the types of things that we want to be saying. Even if the season doesn't end in a Super Bowl or end in an AFC championship, at least we can see the glimmer of hope that this offense is going to be top 10 in the NFL, even top 5, like we saw the Bucs go from ranked in the 20s to ranked in the top 5. We've got one segment to go here on Helmets and Heels. Want to get to a little men's hoops when we return. You are listening to 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Follow the JU Dolphins on 1010XL.
Number 1 in the ASUN. The Dolphins are back at historic Swisher Gym for First Responders Night. JU Florida Gulf Coast. Tonight at 7 on 1010 AM.
Why buy from Hodges Mazda at the Avenues? Because they strive to ensure a satisfying and comfortable car buying experience. And now they are giving back. Lauren Brooks here. Hodges Mazda wants to say thank you to all educators, first responders, and healthcare providers by offering a complimentary oil change and car wash. Simply call them today or schedule online at HodgesMazda.com. This is all part of the Hodges Mazda difference. Come experience it for yourself. Free oil change not to exceed $79.99. Excludes diesel vehicles. Expires January 31st, 2025. See dealer for complete details, HodgesMazda.com.
Here for MyBookie. Our listeners have been killing it, and we're now set for the final stretch of the road to New Orleans. MyBookie is the one book that has your back. No fluff, no second guessing, just straight up action. Does your other sportsbook pay out when you push on a bet? MyBookie pays you back. And if you're new to the game and not sure where to start, we have you covered too. Step 1, use our promo code 1010XL. That'll double your bankroll with a 50% deposit bonus straight from the jump. Here's a pro tip to get you rolling. The big game prop bets are going to be plentiful. Take a hard look at player props and those wacky big game props you select each year from MyBookie. Stack that with MyBookie's risk-free Thursdays. Why wait? That's right there, a new risk-free odds boost each and every Thursday. To find the bet, click the Bet Boost tab and scroll down. If it hits, you win. If it doesn't, MyBookie refunds your money. Sign up now and get your 50% bonus with MyBookie, the best sign-up bonus for Florida bettors. The road to New Orleans is here for the big game. Bet anything, anytime, and from anywhere with MyBookie. And don't forget that promo code 1010XL.
Ever wonder how you can transform your living spaces into captivating works of art? At First Coast Lighting and Fans, they offer a huge selection of high-quality products to match your desire for elegance, quality, and uniqueness. Visit their showroom on Phillips Highway at the Avenues and step into a world of quality without compromise. Discover the difference that locally owned expertise makes and let them help you experience the transformation from average to extraordinary. At First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Budweiser reminds us to drink wiser, like hydrating between beers. It keeps the fun going longer, and it's a commitment to responsibility. Remember, good times are ahead, so no need to overdo it. Know when to say when, and always designate a driver.
Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Helmets and heels.
Hey, I'm Tony from Tony D's Pizza. People ask me all day long, is it the water that makes the difference? Well, yes and no. Even water can't make a good pizza. It's the ingredients, too. The best tomatoes, the best flour, and the best cheese. Oh, and a lot of love. Tony D's New York Pizza, Bay Meadows and 295.
The Florida Forum welcomes best-selling author and journalist Carl Hyacin, February 12th. Funds raised go to a Kids Care Mobile ICU, a neonatal and pediatric critical care transport vehicle. Kids Care vehicles and helicopters safely transport more than 2,200 infants and children a year to Wilson Children's Hospital. Get your tickets at thefloridaforum.com or call 202-2886. 202-2886.
Attention skilled electricians. Are you undervalued at your current company? Time to step up to the bigger projects and better opportunities. Join the team at Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering not just the job, but an experienced, top-notch pay, unbeatable benefits, and the best working environments in the business. Please join the team that values your skills and rewards your hard work. Elevate your career to new heights. Apply today at millercareers.com, an equal opportunity employer.
1010XL's running game takes a giant step forward.
Well, Fred Taylor is the whole package.
Fred Taylor joins Dan and Jeff on the drill. Monday morning running back with Fred Taylor is fueled by Epstein and Robbins and Monahan Jewelers.
This is Greg Huntington, a.k.a. The Mangler. I'm on the winning team at Waste Management. WM is the largest sustainability company in North America. If your business needs sustainable environmental services for waste removal and recycling collection, then you can count on the industry leader of WM to deliver results. Your services will be completed in a timely, safe, and eco-friendly manner. Go to WM.com/Duval. That's WM.com/Duval and get signed up today. If anyone can talk trash, it's the Mangler.
Hi, Flying Jacko here, and when you're inside the Coen Flowers showroom, you'll find a wide array of gift ideas that'll take care of any gift-giving situation. Spend a few minutes there and you'll see for yourself. Coen Flowers on Beach Boulevard.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
Start the new year with a fresh look for your home. It's the Renewal by Andersen New Year's sales event. For a limited time, save 20% off on our energy-efficient windows and patio doors designed to keep your home comfortable year-round and your energy bills down. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation. But hurry, the special New Year's offer won't last. License number CGC 1527613.
Tailgate special alert. 3 pounds of marinated chicken, 2 pounds of marinated steak tips, 2 pounds of fresh ground beef, and 2 pounds of homemade sausage for only $80 to feed your crew.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
A very special edition of the Cool Down here on Helmets and Heels. This is courtesy of our friend, our Heeligan. He comes, he visits us at Remotes. His name is Charles. You probably have heard us say his name before. And today is Charles's birthday, ladies. Happy birthday to Charles. He sent this in on the text line, Design My Lifetime Enclosures. I reveal my age via sports trivia. I was born the year the Washington Bullets won the franchise's only NBA title. I was 1 year old when they made their most recent appearance in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, note he said Washington Bullets, not the Washington Wizards. I'm trying to remember if the Washington Bullets, like in the modern NBA, like what would that have been in like the 70s, 80s potentially?
I feel like that's an RJ question, not for me.
RJ, do you know when did the Bullets become the Wizards, or the Bullets left or came to the NBA?
The Bullets became the Wizards. They had always been in Washington, I want to say.
Right.
So
1997. I just looked it up.
It was 97?
When they changed from the Bullets to the Wizards.
Okay, so when did they win their only NBA title?
I want to say that's Elvin Hayes. So I want to say sometime in the. I don't know why I want to go with 76 or 77. I don't know why I want to go there.
It's late 70s. So
Late 70s.
somewhere in there, yeah.
Okay, so RJ's on the money. We have Charles's birthday to celebrate as we cool down, and a fun sports trivia fact for you all that I did not know. I didn't realize they were the Bullets until 1997. I also didn't realize their only NBA championship was in the late 70s. So thank you for that, Charles, and hope you have the best of birthdays ever.
Yeah, so it's not a big birthday. It's not a birthday ending in a 0. That'll be in the near future because I'm guessing it's either 77 or 78. But either way, like you said, happy birthday to him. Let's get it to some men's basketball tonight. 2 games in town. JU plays host to Florida Gulf Coast, tipping off at 7 p.m. JU 7-1 in ASUN play. Florida Gulf Coast 6-2. The Frangie Show will be broadcasting live from Cantina Rio from 4 to 6 today ahead of that game. That is a monster game in the ASUN. Meanwhile, UNF plays host to Stetson. That game also tips off at 7 p.m. UNF 3-5 in the ASUN. Stetson 5-3. So certainly a little bit of a challenge there for UNF, but certainly also UNF really good at home. And so this is, I think, a big night. If you love college basketball or if you're not as familiar with college basketball and you're transitioning from football to basketball, get out to one of those 2 games tonight.
Yep, I will be on the call of that JU game on ESPN+. You also can hear the radio call from Scott Manzi and company here on 1010 AM, brought to you by the Superstation. So make sure you tune on in. That is indeed a monster game, Lauren, as JU has indeed taken a 1-game lead, kind of against all odds. I think I either tweeted it out or I said it on Monday and someone called me out and they're like, no, JU has like an actual 1-game lead. I'm sorry. I thought that Florida Gulf Coast was able to pull out a victory against Eastern Kentucky late on Saturday night. I misspoke. But I now know that because now I'm prepared for the game. I printed out my boards. We're ready to go. But yeah, it'll be a big one between those 2 sides. And obviously FGCU now technically is a game. They're a game back. But there is a 4-way tie now, or 3-way tie for second place with North Alabama, who just recently visited UNF Arena on January 18th. I was on the call of that one as well. Good little shooting squad. Lipscomb, who is the preseason favorite to win the league. They do a little bit of everything right. And Florida Gulf Coast is, of course, coached by Pat Chambers, formerly the head coach at Penn State.
Yeah, I think that JU's environment at Swisher, I think a lot of people have probably been to JU and UNF throughout the years, right? JU's is a much more intimate environment. Swisher holds a lot fewer people, but it also gets incredibly loud because of that very fact. UNF holds certainly far more people. I want to say Swisher holds around maybe like 1,400 somewhere in there, and UNF's is more around, like the capacity is like 5,500, if my math is correct or if my memory serves me correctly. But UNF, obviously, when packed, can also get insanely loud. I've been to both when both are packed in. Again, it's just so much fun to have these teams here. My alma mater is off this week. No midweek basketball.
Till Saturday.
For Florida.
Till Saturday.
Right, that's what I mean. Like no midweek basketball. That's a dagger for me. So I ended up
Especially right now when there's just like
correct.
nothing.
I had to watch Kentucky beat Tennessee in Tennessee last night, which
Good game.
potentially may help. It was a good game, but may help Florida traveling to Tennessee. I'm not quite sure. That game is Saturday at noon, but I would have preferred Tennessee to beat Kentucky last night since Florida walloped Tennessee and lost to Kentucky. However, Kentucky won. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens on Saturday. And Zakai Ziegler, we did see go out with an injury, but he came back in the game. So
He like
that's good
sprinted
news
off
for
the
Tennessee.
floor with an injury. I was like,
it looked like his knee kind of hyperextended, so I was surprised to see him return that quickly. And
he
the
just
fact
kept
that he
walking.
just ran
Like,
off.
he just ran off the floor. Like
Very-
just
very
didn't sub out,
surprising.
didn't go to the table. He just walked off into
right into the locker room. Yeah. And then Georgia
is
beat
weird.
South Carolina last night 71-60. And then on Saturday at 4, you have Georgia at Alabama. Alabama, of course, ranked 4th in the country. So you've got Auburn, the number 1 team in all of the land in the SEC. You've got Florida, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, all of those teams really good.
Would you put money that an SEC team like wins it all?
I wouldn't, just because March Madness is always so
Crazy.
crazy.
Yeah.
And obviously different than football. Like, these teams are not cannibalizing one another in as far as they're not, getting hurt and things like that. But I mean, certainly money would tell you that there's going to be at least one SEC team in the Final Four.
I also would not put money on it solely because can you name the last SEC team to win the national title?
Has there been, Kentucky, right?
Yep, correct. Ding Lauren up 2012 with John Calipari.
Which also is honestly crazy.
Anthony Davis.
13 years.
That was the last time a team in the SEC. It's worse than the Big Ten. The Big Ten hasn't won a national title since 2000 with Tom Izzo and Michigan State. So it's
and they beat Florida that year,
right? And so maybe like conference realignment maybe changes that. I mean, Texas and Oklahoma are good. I don't think they change the complexity too much. But yeah, I think it'll be curious to see if this is the year, especially given how well the conference has played up to this point.
Yeah.
Because I can go down the list of conferences that have looked elite over the last 5-6 years that I've been involved, or I've been a voter for 4 years on the AP poll. I can go down the list between the Mountain West last year. 6 teams got into the NCAA tournament, 1 win to show for it.
Yeah.
And that's a mid-major, sure. So if you want to dismiss that, okay. Look at the Big East. I mean, the Big East 2-3 years ago had 5 teams in the tournament. Last year, barely got 3 teams in. Yes, all 3 teams made the Sweet 16, and that speaks to the strength of the top of the conference. But now they're in a situation with UConn faltering and having an up and down season of what actually is the strength of the Big East. And so I'm very curious to see how the SEC does when it actually gets to the tournament. I think there is a good chance we have 2 to 3 teams in the Elite 8 from the SEC, but we also saw in 2021, the year the tournament was in the bubble, the Pac-12 barely got 3 teams in, and all 3 teams made the Elite 8.
Yeah.
So it's a wacky storyline that happens every single year.
You have to wonder right now, John Calipari at Arkansas, that team is certainly struggling in his first season there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what is the future for Arkansas basketball? They obviously thought, hey, we're going to win another national championship like we did in 1994, and it has not gone
The
according to
irony
plan.
is, 1996 was also when they won. Well, Arkansas national, correct. Kentucky won the national title in 1996, and the captain of that team now has Kentucky looking like, at least after last night, that he could lead Camelot back to the promised land in John Calipari's old stomping grounds instead, which is so hilarious to me in more ways than one.
Yeah, Auburn is, I would say, definitely the best team in the country. I would say for sure. And then,
so long as Janai Broom is playing, they looked good without him.
I was going to say, but they won all 3 games without him, which
including they whopped
not
Mississippi
fair.
State by 30. Right. I could have told you that. I was like, okay, this is like the classic bump game where, of course, they lose the best player, the front runner for National Player of the Year. Of course, they're going to rout another top 15 team by 30. Like, come on, stop trying to play the spread in that game. Like, you knew it was coming, in my estimation.
Speaking of Mississippi State, I had totally forgotten the fact that Riley Kugel plays there until I watched him the other day, and it was weird seeing him in those colors, the maroon and white. It feels like he should still be a Gator. Before we get out of here, did y'all see Albert Breer's column on Monday, the Monday morning quarterback, when he talked about the Jaguars and Trent Baalke's parting of ways?
No, I
did
have
not
not
see
read
it,
this
actually.
yet.
Okay, so it's not that lengthy, but I'll give you the highlights. And here's the first sentence. The Jaguars' train wreck of a process just might produce the right result. You can go down the list of things Jacksonville did wrong. They held on to their GM Trent Baalke, which changed the complexion of their coaching search and drove top candidates away. You skip down to basically his belief is that Ben Johnson was very high on the Jaguars' job, high enough on it to have taken the interview even before they let Baalke go. And Jacksonville loved Johnson enough to make him a big money offer. But in the end, Johnson didn't want to be the one to have to push Trent Baalke out. So therefore, he chose the Bears over the Raiders, obviously, and the Jags. So I do think that one of the key pieces, and we've talked about this a little bit, but everyone is going to say that Liam Coen is the reason that Trent Baalke is out. I don't know that I believe that as much as I believe that Tony Baselli's involvement is how it landed to where it landed. I think Tony getting involved shifted Shad's mindset of things, and I think that's really the reason that Shad was willing to let go, not just to hear a first-time head coach say, yeah, you have to get rid of the GM. I don't think Liam said that.
No, I think it was multiple candidates, and I think that's ultimately what it was always going to take. It was always going to have to be a collective, and for what it's worth, I think it was also going to take some outside voices to assure Shad what he was already, the sentiment that he was getting after completing those 10 interviews and upon further reflection, as he told me on Monday. And from what I've been told, there also were enough conversations, not just people here in Jacksonville, but people around the league, which I'm proud of Shad. He actually listened to people elsewhere in the National Football League, not named Trent and Ethan.
He just should have done it 2.5 weeks earlier.
Correct. But, I mean, we've seen him be stubborn before. Yeah. That part, unfortunately, is not surprising to me. I'm just glad he saw the light at some point in time before February 28th.
Yeah, and that's what I think it was more of a combination of things. But I do think that when other people are kind of saying no to you and then a coach is deciding to stay an offensive coordinator, even if Liam Coen didn't straight to his face be like, I'm not doing this because of Baalke, him saying he's returning to take a position lower and less money than what you probably offered, that's a slap in the face. And I think that did make him realize, and he probably did go talk to some people, and all of those people were like, you know what the issue is. Like, we don't have to say it. You know.
And what's interesting is, like Kai said, she believes, it was a mutual kind of parting of ways. And it does feel like Trent Baalke didn't go out of that building kicking and screaming. It does feel like he said, well, if I'm an impediment to this coaching search, then I'll recuse myself. Again, that's the classy, I suppose, way that people are going to phrase it at this point.
And by the way, even I said that on January 1st or 2nd, Taylor, did I not? We predicted, and I'm pretty sure it was on here. And if it wasn't here, it was on Duval Rundown. We said, this is going to end with a tweet saying either A, the Jaguars have parted ways with Trent Baalke, or B, myself or someone else would report it, and Ian Rappaport would quote tweet it and say, it's not a firing, it's a parting of ways. And it's that last stab trying to protect and save face. And I don't know what face you have left to save.
Well, also, just in a press conference, the virtual press conference, shortly before that, he pretty much got told to his face that if somebody had a plan without him, then and so I'm sure, I feel like Trent was already like, wow, I'm not getting fired after this. And I think that there's probably been multiple times in his career while he might have gone home and been like, man, I still have a job and this is kind of crazy because things have not gone the way that I need them to go. But then when somebody asks and Shad just to your face, and I know this is virtual, but you're still looking at each other, saying that, if someone has a plan and it doesn't involve Trent, then we will talk about it. I'm sure in Trent's mind, he was already preparing for a possibility of that. But I do think that I don't know I don't know what that conversation looked like. I don't know if Trent left angry, or if Trent was like, I get it, or if Trent was like, whatever, I've been here longer than I should have anyways. I don't know. But
I can't wait for the tell-all documentary book. I don't think it'll ever come out as an autobiography or a Trent Baalke-led presentation. I can just tell you the final days of Trent Baalke are something that many have reflected upon who were in the Miller Electric Center over the last 3 weeks, even dating back the last month and a half. And from what I was told by multiple people in the building, there were days that they would meet with him and they would be like, oh my God, he's a dead man walking. And then the next day they meet with him and they're like, this guy thinks he's going to have a job. And they were never able to really put a finger on where his head was at. And I'm sure the same could be said today if you were to speak to him.
Well, that's why we said on December 1st, when the Walker Little extension was announced, that gave signals that Trent Baalke, at least for the here and now, was going to remain in his job as GM. And that is, I think, what Shad Khan's plan was until last week. And then everything changed. All right, let's say hello to Leon.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Service by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. Find the coolest cats in town at coolcatsjacks.com.
Leon, has anyone called you Liam yet?
Call me Liam?
Yeah. Liam Cersei.
No, they have not. No.
That's good.
Yeah.
I had a friend said he met you last week maybe, and he was smoking a cigar with you.
Yeah, we were at the watering hole.
A Florida State fan. Did you give him a hard time?
No, I didn't. I'm getting soft. I didn't give him a hard time.
Well, watching too much Jags football, it's made you a little soft.
It has.
The good news is your Canes are balling out at the Senior Bowl right now.
I know. I've been watching. I've been watching Arroyo, the tight end, and
is it Arroyo or Arroyo? Because I heard Daniel Jeremiah say Arroyo today.
Yeah, I've heard it said both ways.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I heard it said, and I watch. I think Xavier's there too.
Yep, he is.
Yeah, I saw.
And Jalen Rivers, the pride of Oakleaf.
I saw the offensive lineman. He was playing left guard. He looked real good in the Jaguar outfit. He's strong and physical. I was talking to his offensive line coach. He said he wouldn't be surprised that he goes maybe top 3.
Top 3 rounds. So he'll be a day. I agree. I think he could work. He made some money yesterday.
Oh, absolutely.
It was perhaps the one name we didn't talk to JP Acosta about.
That's where you're making money. I didn't go to the Senior Bowl because back in my day, back in my day, they had 3-a-days in the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to the Senior, so I went to East West Shrine game. And I purposely went to East West Shrine game because they had me penciled in as a guard, and I wanted to play tackle. So I knew who the number 1 defensive end in the country was, and I followed him there. It was Robert Porcher. And I knew if I could go up against him every day, we was on the same team. If I knew if I could go up against him every day in practice, they would look at me as a tackle and not a guard. So
I love that.
We both got paid.
I like it.
I was going to say, who won the majority of the reps?
Well, I tell you what, we fought each other like we cheated on each other's girls. I'm for real. It's like we was on the same team, but we were practicing against each other.
Right.
Yeah, but
the practices are what really matters. Like the game's important, but it's the practices.
Yeah, but all the coaches were out there. Anytime the coaches do this and start writing what you got some good stuff on.
I feel like they do time it perfectly because there's no other football right now, and so we get to see those one-on-one reps. And and for people who love training camp, it's like, at least it's like a little bit like training camp. Yeah. What's coming up?
Well, we're actually going to talk. We're going to talk Senior Bowl, and then we're going to talk the top free agents, top 50 free agents that are going to be available because free agency is just right around
the corner. Yeah,
you got the combine. I mean, you got this, you got the Super Bowl, then you got the combine. The next thing you know, free agency.
Yeah. By the way, can you roll your R's?
No.
My guess is Elijah Arroyo is how you pronounce it.
I can't roll.
That was good. That was good. I mean, that's how I assumed it was.
It was better than the Duval.
I'm telling you, on the NFL Network broadcast, apparently he wants it Arroyo.
Arroyo? Well,
maybe he wants it to be easy for people so we don't try to roll our R's.
Real quick before I go, you know what's going to happen? He's going to go to the Chiefs. Why? They're going to find a way to get him.
I know. You're right.
Leon.
Write it down. Write it down, folks. Write it down.
All right. Thanks, Leon. We'll be listening. That'll do it for us today. For Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow, but of course, don't go anywhere. XL Prime Time comes up next on 1010 XL 92.5 FM.
All over you. Yeah. You keep lying when you ought to be truthing. And you keep losing when you ought to.
Day by day, play by play.
Touchdown, Jacksonville.
The station that covers the Jaguars day in and day out. 1010 XL, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.